before we start our class for today? Is it okay?
Okay, Doctor.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay.
Okay, Doktor.
Okay, Assalamualaikum and good morning. Good afternoon. Okay, so shall we start our first class for today? Okay, so today is our first class for WIA 2001 slash WIB 2001 database. Okay, so for today, before we start our lecture for the first chapter, let me introduce the course structure for database. Okay. Okay, guys, I also have uploaded the slides, introduction slides through Spectrum so that you can see that later. Okay, before we go further, let me introduce all the lecturers who are involved in this course. Okay, first we have Associate Professor Dr. Fariza Hanum. Actually, she's the course coordinator for database. Okay, but today she's on leave. She's on a medical leave. Okay, so anything that if you have any queries or any questions that you can send her an email. Okay, she will in charge for K1. Okay, lecture K1. Okay, and then also for tutorial T1 and T2. Okay, then we also have Dr. Muhammad Khalid. Okay, his email address is mkhalid@um.edu.my. He will in charge for K2 together with tutorial group for T3 and T4. And me, okay, Dr. Najihan, I will in charge for K3. Okay, and then for tutorial group T5 and T6. Okay. Okay, so basically these are the learning outcomes for this course. Okay, so at the end of the course, you should be able to describe the basic concepts in database. Okay, to identify a database management system. Okay, we also refer that as DBMS. Okay, to develop a database system for an applications or a small business. And the last one is to implement the database design using a DBMS. So these are the CLO that you should achieve at the end of this course. Okay, so here is the some main references that we are going to use throughout this semester. Okay, so the first one is our main reference for this course. And then besides these references, okay, we also will utilize all the recent materials from online materials. Okay. Okay, guys. If you have anything that you want to ask, okay, you can use the conversation box. Okay, because we inside this for today's lecture, we also have Dr. Fariza and Dr. Khalid with us. Okay, so you can just write down in the chat columns. Okay, so that's the two main things that you should know for database. Okay, the course learning outcomes and the main references that we are going to use. Okay, so now we are moving forward to the class timetables information. Okay, so as you know, we have three groups. Okay, K1, K2, and K3. Okay, all classes for this semester we will Tuesday 1 to 3 p.m. Okay, so we will combine all these three groups for lecture as one sessions. Okay. Okay, then for tutorials, okay, we have Thursday 3 to 4. Okay, also online. Okay, for T1 and T2, okay, you are under Dr. Fariza Hanum. For T3 and T4, under Dr. Khalid, and me will in charge for T5 and T6. Okay, so for these tutorial sessions, we will combine these two groups, and one lecturer will in charge, will handle these two groups at the same time. Okay. Okay, what else? Okay, then for the timetables, for attendance records, okay, as usual, it is compulsory, okay, for students to record your own attendance. Okay, so all attendance will be recorded through Spectrum. Okay, so we will open the sessions from 1 to 4 p.m. So you should be able to record your own attendance within these durations, within 1 to 3 p.m. Okay. Okay, so you have to record your attendance according to your groups. Okay, let's say for Dr. Fariza, okay, you have for lecture you should be able to submit your attendance using the attendance K1, Dr. Fariza Hanum. And then let's say for tutorial, okay, for under Dr. Fariza, you should be able to record your own attendance under these sessions, attendance tutorial 1, group 1 and group 2. Okay, so please make sure that you record your own attendance within the durations, within the class durations. So meaning that you have to you have to make sure that you open your Spectrum, and then at the same time you have to open the Microsoft Teams. Okay, so for today, have you record your own attendance? Okay, please make sure you do that. Okay. Okay. So all attendance will be recorded during the class time. Okay, let's say for lecture, it should be done through from 1 to 3, and then for tutorial sessions, it should be done from 3 to 4 Thursday. Okay, according to the groups. Okay. Okay, then what else? Okay, methods of teaching and learning. As we have to conduct all the classes online, okay, so we decided to use Spectrum and Microsoft Teams. Okay, so for Spectrum, we have created a sections for each groups. Okay, so one section for under me, one section for Dr. Fariza Hanum, and then another section is for Dr. Khalid. So you have to remember in which sections that you are belong to. Okay, because all the submissions for tutorials and group project, it should be done according to your groups, which is according to the lecturers. Okay. Okay, then all notes and tutorial questions, okay, and then group project details all will be shared using Spectrum. Okay, and then the group project submissions and tutorial submissions must be done using Spectrum. Okay, for your information, all the tutorial answers needs to be submitted before the tutorial session starts. So our tutorial session is on Thursday 4 p.m. So you have to make sure that the submission should be done before 4 p.m. Thursday. No, it should be done before 3 because your tutorial session is 3 to 4, right? Okay, please, I did a mistake here. Okay, so the submissions for tutorial should be done before 3 p.m. every Thursday. Okay? Okay, then besides Spectrum, we also utilize Microsoft Teams. Okay, basically Teams will be used for lecture. Okay, and then also for tutorial sessions. For this semester, we will have 6 times for synchronous synchronous, which is face-to-face teaching and learning. And then but for tutorial sessions, we will have an online sessions for every week. Okay, so meaning that you have to check the course information for current semesters, that we will have 6 times for face-to-face online learning, and then for tutorial sessions we will have an online sessions for every week. Okay, then besides Spectrum and Microsoft Teams, we also we may have a WhatsApp group. It is depends on your lecturer itself. If your lecturers plans to have one, then it is up to the groups. Okay. Okay, so anything so far that you want to ask me? Okay, so
no,
these are the links that I have created for Microsoft Teams. Okay, I have added all the students who registered for database inside the teams. Okay, inside the database team, but there are some names are missing due to the system cannot track your name. But you should be able to access the team using this link. Okay. Okay, then for tutorial sessions, as I mentioned, we have a tutorial on 3 to 4 p.m. Okay, so basically these are the link for that specific lecturers. So please make sure that you enter to a correct room. Okay, so the first one, if you are from T1 and T2, please make sure that you are in the correct room, correct channel for Dr. Fariza Hanum. If you are T3 and T4, please make sure that you are in the correct channel, which is this other link. And then if you are from T5 and T6, okay, please make sure that you enter the correct channel for me. Okay, so please follow exactly the link channel that I have provided here. Okay, please don't enter the wrong channel for your tutorial session. Okay. Okay, then we for the assessments. Okay, as usual for UG level, we have 50-50. Okay, 50% for your continuous assessments and then another 50% for your summative assessments. Okay, for continuous assessment, it will be divided by test 20%, which we schedule in week 6. Okay, and then for group project, okay, the total for group project is 25. Okay, 25 consists of presentations of project video 15, project report 10%. So overall we have 25%. Okay, besides this group, together with the group project, okay, together with the group project, we also have a peer review assessment. Okay, so this is basically to make sure that all students participate in their group work. Okay, so at the end of the project, okay, besides the report that you have to submit, okay, all students, okay, each member, they need they assess their own group members. Okay, so that will give you 5%. Okay, so please make sure that you contribute to your group project. Okay, so we have the total for continuous assessment is 50, and then another 50% it is from your summative assessment. Okay, which is according to the course information for the current semesters. You will have a summative assessment starting from week 5. Okay. So, however, for this one, for summative assessment, we will, if there is any changes that we do, we will inform later. It will be informed later through spectrums. Okay. Okay. What else? Okay. Then for the group project, okay, each group must consist of 5 members. Okay, 5 members. It should mix races and gender. Okay, these 5 members should be from the same tutorial group. Okay, if you are from group T5, okay, please make sure that all the members, all these 5 members belongs to T5. Okay, okay, then you have to find an organization. Okay, and since we during this pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic, okay, so it is difficult for us to have a face-to-face interview, but we suggest it is compulsory for you to conduct an online interview. Okay, so this interview is important in order for you to get information which it is required for your group project. Okay. Okay, then based on the interview, okay, based on the data or information that you gathered from the interview, you have to develop a database and then to prepare a report. So these are the things that you have to submit during week 14. Okay, so report submissions and video presentation must be done during week 14. Okay, a part of the group project also, we will have a peer assessment. Okay, so the purpose of this peer assessment is to assess the participations of the group members. Okay, so the details for the group project informations will be informed later through Spectrum. Okay, so I think that's all for the course introductions. Do you have any questions that you want to ask us? I think maybe we need to give 10 minutes so that for Q&A sessions. Okay, before we proceed to our first lecture for today. Okay, okay, so there is one question that asking me if there is a name list according to tutorial groups so that we can find your group members. Okay, so I'm not sure how you can view your spectrum, but in our case, we can see a list of the students according to groups. I'm not sure whether you have that functions or not. Okay, let us decide how we can what we can do in order to solve this so that you can find your own groups.
Doctor, there actually is one functionality. You just click participants on the right side.
Pardon, I cannot hear you clearly.
Participants.
Participants, okay. Can you type or can you speak up clear louder so that I can hear you?
There is a participants button, but it won't show the groups.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this is my spectrum. Okay, so I'm not sure whether you have this yes, okay, you cannot see that. Okay, let me try to figure out how we can, what should we do so that you can see, you know who is your group match for the according to groups. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, what are we supposed to interview the organizations about? Okay, so these things we will upload the details of the group project later. We don't have a quiz, but according to your group project, okay, you will have a mid-sem, okay, and then a group project. But you may have a quiz if there is if we think it is required to have a quiz. Okay, what kind of organizations? It is up to you. You can have a small business, or you can have organizations, a simple organizations. Okay, you can have anything, any kinds of organizations. Okay, T1 and T2. Okay, so I think I have tried the link of the channel, but maybe you can double check the link because yesterday I tried the link, it worked, but I'm not sure whether something wrong with the link or not. Okay, any questions? Okay, one more thing. Okay, during the class, okay, if please don't suddenly take control, because for lecture sessions we have about 300 students. So please don't simply take control the presentations during the presentation time done by the lecturers. So because for 2 days itself, I already have 4 times take control from the students. So please don't disturb the presentations. Okay. Okay, so any things that you want to ask? any more questions before we proceed to our first lecture, first chapter for today? Okay, if no, can we proceed to our first lecture?
Yes.
Okay, so today our first lecture is for chapter 1, okay, database systems. Okay, so, okay, it is weird for me, it looks like that I'm talking alone here, okay, but never mind. Okay, as long as if you have any things, okay, try to ask using the chat, meeting chat, okay. Okay, so chapter 1, okay, database system. So this is the first chapter. Okay, so what you should learn, the learning objective for this chapter is, okay, you should know the differences between data and information. Okay, and then what a database is. Okay, it is what is a database. Okay, various types of databases. Okay, and why they are valuable assets for decision making. Okay, why do we need a database, and then how database is important in for decision making. Okay, then the importance of database design. Okay, the involvement of databases from the file system. Okay, and then okay, the flaws in file system data management. Okay, the main components of the database systems, and then the functions of DBMS. Okay, so what is DBMS, and then the functions of the DBMS. Okay, so first, okay, what is the differences between data and information? Okay, what is data and what is information? Okay, data is a raw fact. Okay, it is a raw fact. Okay, which is it is not yet been processed to reveal the meaning. Okay, so you know the data. Okay, but you don't. Okay, you don't know the meaning besides the data. Okay, so it is a building block of information. So a few data is required to form an information. Okay. And then, okay, data management. So it is the generations and storage and how we retrieve the data. Okay, meanwhile, information, it is when we produce the data. Okay, so let's say we have 100 data of students. Okay, so we have a metric number of students. Okay, metric number together with the cost. So this is all what we refer to data. And then once we process the data, so this data become an information. Okay, so it reveals the meaning of data. Okay, when we process the data, it should enable the creations of knowledge. Okay, the information should be accurate, okay, relevant and timely, so that it enable for good decision making. So good information should be derived from good data. Okay. Okay, let's say for example, okay, so 100. Okay, 100. It is also okay. We are in the fourth slide. Okay, Muhammad Shahir, we are in the fourth slide. Okay, so first we have data. Okay, metric number. Okay, metric number itself is the data. Okay, and then okay, metric number U001, let's say. Okay, so that's okay, others, can you see the slides?
Yes, I can see the slide.
We are in slide 4.
Yeah, that's
okay,
right.
so I think maybe something wrong with your connections. Okay, never mind. We have record this session, so you should be able to watch it later. Okay. Okay, so where are we just now? Okay, so information it is we gathered from the data that we have. Okay. Okay, so what is database? Okay, you know what is data and then what is information. Okay, now what is database? Okay, database it is a shared integrated computer structure that stores a collection of end user data. Okay, it is a raw facts of interest to end users. So your metric number, okay, your name, your courses that you registered. Okay, what else? Okay, your program. So this is all the end user data. Okay, so we store all this data inside a database. Okay, so a database it is a shared integrated computer structure that stores a collection of your data. Okay, your students' data. Okay, the employees' data. Okay, so the products' data. So this is all a collection of information. No, a collection of data that we have. So we store in a database. Okay, so okay, this is what the meaning of database. Okay, so what is metadata? Okay, metadata it is data about data which the end user data are integrated and managed. Okay, so metadata it's actually describe data characteristics and relationship. Okay, so for example, okay, you have one file. Okay, you have a PowerPoint slides for lecture week 1 today. Okay, so the metadata for that slide, okay, for that file, it is, for example, who is the author? Okay, what else? Okay, the authors. Okay, it is the properties of the files. Okay, metadata it is data about data. Okay. Okay. Okay, then okay, what is DBMS? Okay, DBMS it is a collection of program. Okay, a collection of programs. Okay, manage the database structure. Okay, and then we also controls access to data stored in the database. Okay, so okay, if we look at the that we have here is database. It is a shared integrated computer structure that stores a collection of end user data. Okay, so we have a students database. Okay, which we keep all your data there. Okay, your metric numbers, name, and so on. Okay, we keep in a database. Okay, so the database itself, okay, to develop a database, we require a DBMS. Okay, without DBMS, we cannot develop a database. Okay, so DBMS, it is a collection of program. Okay, manage the database structure. Of course, when we have a database, we have to manage the structure of the database. Okay, and then we also need a DBMS in order to control and access to a data stored in the database. So this is the features of DBMS. Okay, so you got what we have covered for now. Okay, you have a data. Okay, then we need a database in order to keep the data. Then we need a DBMS in order to develop a database. Okay, so you should know the hierarchy of the data, database, and DBMS. Okay, role of the DBMS. Okay, so it is an intermediary between the user and the database. Okay, so it is how we are going to interact. Okay, users and database. Okay, of course we need a DBMS. Okay, so by having a database, okay, we should be able to share the data. Okay, we have a database. Okay, let's say we have a database students. Okay, that we stored in UM. Okay, so we have a students database for the whole UM. Okay, so all this data is being shared between college, okay, faculties, okay, and the others PTJs. For example, hal ehwal akademik, okay, HEPs, and so on. So by having one databases, it should be able to share among various users. Okay. Okay, presents the end user with an integrated view of the data. Okay, so let's say for the data students, okay, we have your name, metric numbers, and etc. Okay, but now in our case for lecturers view, we don't want to know your address. Okay, we don't want to know your parents' information, but we want to know your name, your metric number, your program, and the results that you got for that specific courses. So by this ability of DBMS, okay, DBMS can present the end users with what kinds of views that we want. Okay, and then let's say for college, okay, they want to view in terms of students' name, metric numbers, address, and their college activities and so on. So that we can it can present the users with what kinds of view that we want. Okay. Okay. DBMS also receive and translates applications requests into operations required to fulfill the request. Okay. Okay, we have let's say for any applications, they also need a database so that they can receive any request from the applications. Okay, then translate that request. Okay, and then it will send back the results to according to the request. Okay, then hides the database internal complexity from the applications, programs, and users. So this is for database administrations. Okay. Okay, so this figures shows how DBMS manage the interactions between the end users and the database. Okay, so if you look at the diagram that we have, okay, so the structure of a database consists of metadata and then end user data. Okay, so this different data, it's in its own characteristics. Okay, for customers, they have their own characteristics. Okay, for specifications. Okay, invoice and products. Okay, and then this is end users. Okay, so end users are able to retrieve or access data. Okay, inside the database using the applications. Okay, and then they submit the application request through the DBMS. Okay, and then the system will translate what kind of data that end users require. Okay, it will process the request. Okay, getting the data from the database and then send back to end users. Okay, so these are the way how end users interact with the database. It submits an applications through DBMS. Okay, so what an examples of DBMS, the simplest DBMS that we can use is Microsoft Access, or even we can use Microsoft Excel as a database. So that's the simple DBMS that we have. Okay. Advantages of the DBMS. Okay, it is better data integrations and less data inconsistency. Okay, different versions of the same data appears in different places. So data inconsistency, it is when different versions of the same data appears in different places. Okay, so let's say for your students' data, okay, you stays in a college, okay, and then your data, okay, college itself, they have their own database. Okay, then faculty itself, we have your database. Okay, inconsistency, it is when you change your address, okay, your hometown address in the college database, but you didn't change your data for address for faculties database. So it is what we refer to data inconsistency. Different versions of the same data appears in different places. Okay, so the advantages of the DBMS, it is when we can have a better data integrations and less data inconsistencies. Okay, so meaning that if we have database, the data inconsistency problem, it is we can reduce this kind of problems. Okay. Okay, then besides this, we also can increase the advantages of DBMS is we also can increase end user productivity. Okay. Then we also can improve data sharing, okay, data security, data access, and decision making. Okay, for example, for data sharing, okay, if we have one database, okay, throughout the whole okay, we have one database and it being shared by all the PTJs. Okay, it can be shared by college, okay, faculties, and so on. So this is, we can improve the DBMS, the database. Okay, and then in terms of security, okay, so by having one by having one centralized database, okay, so it is easy for us to taking care the security. Okay, and then same goes for data access. We can limit in terms of access, how can access the data. Okay, for decision making, okay, for decision making, okay, in terms of data quality, okay, it can provide in terms of more accurate, okay, more the data is in terms of validity and timeliness of the data itself. Okay, so this is some advantages of the DBMS. Okay, types of databases. Okay, everyone is okay. Okay, so
Yes.
types of databases. Okay, so there are various types of database. Okay, we have a single user database. Okay, we have a multi-user database. Okay, and then what else? Okay, we have a centralized and so on. So there are so many types of databases. Okay, the first one, okay, single user database. Okay, it is a database which can support one user at one time. Okay, so it is also known as desktop database. Okay, where we runs on PC. So you have your laptop. Okay, you develop. Okay, let's say you have. Okay, you create an Excel. Okay, which you store your earning for months. Okay, you store your how much you spend every days and so on. So you are the one who access the database. Okay, and it is only you. So that's what we refer to single user database. Okay, then multi-user database. Okay, it supports multiple users at the same time. Okay, it also can we refer as a workgroup databases. It supports a small number of users or a specific departments. Okay, so this is it can be used by small groups. Okay, small group of users. Okay, or we have enterprise database. Okay, enterprise database supports many users across many departments. Okay, so for multi-users database, it is more on if it is involve more than one users, or okay, more than one users, it doesn't matter whether the number of users is either a small number or it can be a large numbers of users which consists of many departments. Okay. Let's say, for example, for workgroup databases, we have one, okay, a database of what? consists of a small numbers. Okay, so maybe maybe a database for an organization. Okay, your club. Okay, academic club. Okay, so you develop a database for that. So it is consists only for a small number of users. Or for enterprise database, which is it can support many users across many departments such as banking. For example, it may consist of it may consist of, I cannot see the slide. Okay, it may consist of various various departments or various functions. Okay. They who is muting me? I'm being muted for several times. Okay. Okay, enterprise database, for example, banking. Okay, let's say for example CIMB, they have one database which can be accessed by different departments. Okay, marketing departments. Okay, customer service departments. Okay, and then it also can be accessed by branches. Okay, different branch has their own users. Okay. Okay, centralized, okay, distributed and cloud database. Okay, so this slide, okay, starting from this slide, the types of databases, it is explained in a various, it is depends on this kind. Okay, so this is based on different views. Okay, so for this slide, okay, they differentiate the databases based on numbers of users. Okay, these slides, okay, explain the types of database in terms of the architecture of the database. Okay. Okay, I have a question. Okay, is enterprise database centralized? Yes, usually it is depends actually. Okay, for the large organizations, okay, mostly the database are centralized. Okay. Centralized database, it is data is located at a single site. Okay. Okay, data is located at a single site, but it can be accessed by anyone who have the access. Okay, so let's say for example, UM. Okay, UM, we have one centralized database. Okay, it is located at one single site. Okay, so everyone's inside the UMs can access that single database. Okay, so that's for centralized database. Okay, distributed database, data is distributed across different sites. Okay, so let's say for example, banking. Okay, banking sectors, they have one database. Okay, however, this database is distributed among their staff according to their branches. Okay, even though they have one complex databases, but different branches, okay, only should be able to access their own informations. Okay, they cannot access other branches informations. Okay, that's for example for distributed database. Okay, then cloud database. Okay, so cloud, it is a new way how we can store a database. Okay, how we can keep our database. Okay, so it is created and maintained using cloud data services that provide defined performance measures for the database. Okay, everyone has, you have your Google Drive, right? Okay, let's say you put your database there, and then you give access to your friends to that database. So it is considered as a cloud database. Okay, we create and maintain using a cloud data services. Okay, so clear for this slide? Okay, so next, Okay, types of database in terms of purpose. Okay, so there are two, which is general purpose and discipline specific. Okay, for general purpose database, okay, contains a wide variety of data used in multiple disciplines. Okay, for discipline specific databases, contains data focused on specific subject areas. Okay, so these are okay, how could we divide? We define the general purpose and discipline specific. It depends on the needs of that we create a database. Okay, let's say for the entire okay, we have one database. One database is considered as what a database for the general purpose for staff, okay, researchers and so on. Okay, then for the discipline specific databases, okay, so we only develop a database for a specific use. Okay, so let's say instead of we have a general purpose, okay, we develop a database for a specific use. Okay. Okay. So types of database in terms of operational and analytical. Okay, so we have two for this kind of database, operationals and analyticals. Okay, operational database, it is designed to support a company's day-to-day operations. Okay, meanwhile, analytical database, it is where we store historical data and business metrics that we use exclusively for tactical and strategic decision making. Okay, let's say we have a students database. Okay, the whole okay, we utilize that students database. So that's considered for operational database. Okay, we have that, we need the database in order to support UM's day-to-day operations. Okay, daily operations. Okay, so okay, let's say after you graduate, okay, your data is still with the UMs. Okay, we keep the data as in an archive. Okay, so archive, it is also known as historical data. Okay, we store, okay, once your names are there, okay, we utilize the data. Okay, we utilize the data as an analytical database. Okay, so stores historical data and business metrics used exclusively for tactical or strategic decision making. So this is the differences between operational and analytical. So the first one, it is more on operations, and then the second one, analytical, it is for decision making. Okay. Okay, basically when we store the data, okay, when we store historical data, we that database, it is, we didn't refer that as a database, but we call that as a data warehouse. Okay, an archive, it is also known as data warehouse. Okay, stores data in a format that we can optimize for decision support. Okay. Okay, then we have online analytical processing. It is a kind of database which enable us to retrieve, process and model data from the data warehouse. Okay, from this data warehouse. Okay. Okay, business intelligence. Okay, captures and process business data to generate information that support decision making. Okay, basically when for analytical database, okay, we have we should have a data warehouse. Okay, this data warehouse usually we stores an historical data. Okay, so by utilizing this data inside the data warehouse, okay, we can we should be able to retrieve, okay, process and model the data from the data warehouse by using OLAP. Okay, and then also we can capture and process the data from obtained from data warehouse so that it can generate information to support decision making process later. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, unstructured. Okay, structured, okay, semi-structured and extensible markup language. Okay, unstructured data, it is a data when it exists in their original state. Okay, for example, okay, when we obtain data from Twitter, okay, or when we obtain data from Facebook and so on, okay, it is what we refer to unstructured data. Okay, it is data exists in their original state. Okay, okay, structured data, it is results from formatting. Okay, let's say from the previous Twitter data that we have just now, okay, we pre-process the data so it is in a proper format, in a structure, it is more structured data. So unstructured data that we have, we can process so that it can become structured data. Okay, structure is applied, okay, based on the types of processing to be performed. Okay, another examples of unstructured and structured, it is okay, for unstructured it is Twitter, Facebook data and so on. We gathered the information in their original state. Okay, structured data, it is when we have a student database. Okay, your students data that we keep in a database, it is in a structured format. Okay, we have metric number in what kind of format. Okay, your name in what kind of format and so on. So that's what we refer to unstructured and structured. Okay, semi-structured data, it is processed to some extent. Okay, so basically the semi-structured, it is in the middle of unstructured and structured data. Okay. Then extensible markup language, so it is represents the data elements in textual format. Okay, so what else? Okay, so database design. Okay, database design, it is focused on the design of the database structure that will be used to store and manage end user data. Okay, so now, okay, you know that you have to develop a database. Okay, so we need a database so that we can develop a database. However, when we want to develop a database, there is a steps that you have to follow. Okay, so there is a design. Okay, one of the steps is to design. Okay, so you have to follow the steps involved in database development. So design the logical structures, design the physical structures and so on. So why it is important to have a well-designed database? Okay, so it is to make sure that it should be able to facilitate the future data management. Okay, then of course it is important because when we have a good database design, okay, it should be able to generate accurate and valuable information in the future. So when we want to develop a database, we have to follow a database design steps. Okay. Okay, poorly designed database causes difficult to trace errors. So if you poorly design, okay, there might be an error in the database. Okay. Okay, evolutions of file system data processing. Okay, so this is the history. The history of how the database is introduced. Okay, previously we have a manual file systems. Okay, accomplished through a system of file folders and filing cabinets. Okay, so this is more on paper-based systems. Okay, we have a stack of papers. Okay, so that's what we refer to manual file systems. Okay, then computerized system. Okay, then based on that, okay, based on the manual file systems, okay, then we have a data processing specialist. Okay, it is created. Okay, so this is okay. After the manual file systems, okay, then there is a computerized file system. Okay, it is created a computer-based system that would track a data and produce required reports. Okay, so this is still a stand-alone system. Okay, and then now, okay, the involvement continue with modern end users productivity tools. Okay, where it is includes spreadsheet programs such as Microsoft Excel. So this is the evolutions of file data processing. Okay, so this is the definitions of data, field, okay, record and file. Okay, so in a database, okay, I have explained what is data. Okay, field, it is a character of a group characters that's specific for a specific meaning. Okay, let's say for example, okay, metric number, it is considered as a field because it has a specific meaning. Okay, student's name, it is also considered as a field. Okay, a field is used to define and store data. Okay. Okay, record, it is a logically connected set of one or more fields that describe a person, place or things. Okay, for example, the field that constitute a record. Okay, a student's record. Okay, an employee's record. Okay, so that's what we refer to record. Okay, file, it is a collection of record. A student's file. So a student's file meaning that we have a numbers of students' records. Okay. Okay, so this is examples of file system. Okay, so this is a file systems for sales departments. Okay, and then this is file systems for personnel departments. Okay, problems with file system data processing. So this is the problems that might occur in file-based systems. Okay, which it turns the needs to database systems. Okay, lengthy development times, okay, difficulty of getting quick answers, okay, complex systems administrations, okay, lack of securities and limited data sharings, and extensive programming. Okay. Okay. Okay, so these are the problems with file-based processing which require the development of database systems. Okay. Okay. Okay, for file-based processing, it is more structural dependence. Okay, access to a file is dependent on its own structures. Okay, all file system programs are modified to conform to a new file structure. So, this is the limitations of the file-based system. It is more on structural and data dependence. Okay. Okay, so data dependence, data access changes when data storage characteristics change. Okay. Meanwhile, data dependence, it is when the data storage characteristics is changed without affecting the program's ability to access the data. Okay, I think this is okay. We move to this. Okay, data redundancy. Okay, data redundancy, it is when we store the same data at a different places. Okay, so this is as I explained just now. Okay, we have the same data in two different locations. Okay, for this file-based system, we keep these two data together at a different places. Okay, so it is unnecessary to store the same data at a different places. Okay, so by this data redundancy, okay, it may increase the probability of having different versions of the same data because it's stored in a different places. Okay. Okay, the implications of data redundancy. Okay, of course, it will give a poor data securities because when we have same data at different locations, okay, the chances to access the data is higher, okay, for different types of users. Okay, everyone can access the data. Okay, and then in terms of data inconsistency, okay, because the same data stored in different locations. Okay, increased likelihood of data entry errors when complex entries are made in different files. Okay. This is because, okay, let's say we have same data in two different places. Okay, when we want to update the first data, we also required to update the second data. Okay, let's say we have the same data in 10 locations. So meaning that we have to update all this data at these 10 different locations. So the likelihood of data entry errors might occur. Okay. Okay, then data anomalies. Okay, it is developed when not all of the required changes in the redundant data are made successfully. Okay, so there are 3 types of anomalies: update, insertions, and deletions anomalies. Okay, update anomalies. Okay, it is when we have actually for update anomalies, this is what I explained just now. When we have 2 data in 2 different places, okay, when we update the first one, of course we need to update the second and the rest of the data. So updating at the first place may require us to update at the rest of the storage, okay, for the locations of the data. Okay, then for insertions anomaly, okay, when we insert a new data, okay, it required us to insert at the different locations that is required for the data. Okay, and then also for deletions anomalies, okay, let's say we want to delete student A, okay, from UM's database. Okay, so for from college, okay, so we also need to delete the same record that appears in faculty database. So that's what does it mean by updates, insertions, and deletions anomalies. Okay. Okay. Lack of design and data modeling skills. Okay, data modeling skills is vital in the data design process. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, okay, database design is important so that we can develop a good database. Okay, a correct database with a good design. Okay, one of the important activities involved during the data design is data modeling. Okay, and one of the data modeling activities is to produce ERD. Okay, if you have a wrong ERD, so you will have a wrong database. Okay, so ERD, it is one of the data modeling. So okay, so data modeling skills, it is important during the data design process. Okay, good data modeling facilitates communications between the designer, users, and also the developers. Okay, so during the data modeling process, okay, you must have a communications between designer, users, and also the developers. Okay, so that's why for your group project, okay, you need to do an interview. Okay, the requirement of why do you need to conduct an interview is to obtain the information that you need to develop a database. Okay, so you should know what is their functional requirements, okay, their business rules and so on, so that you develop a correct database for that organizations. Okay, you cannot simply develop a database based on your assumptions. Okay, it should be based on the real world scenario. Okay. Okay, database systems. Okay, it is logically related data that stored in a single location data repository. Okay, physically distributed among multiple storage facilities. Okay, okay, so logically related data that we store in a single location data repository. So we have a database that we develop using a DBMS. Okay. Okay, DBMS eliminates most of the file systems problems. So this is the advantages of DBMS that we go through just now. Okay, basically the why we need a DBMS, it is we want to eliminate most of the disadvantages of file-based systems. Okay, current generations of DBMS software, it can store data structures, relationships between structures and access path. Also we can define, store and manage all access paths and components. So this is the new generations of DBMS. And examples of DBMS that we have is Microsoft Access. We have Oracle. We have IBM and so on. So these are examples of DBMS that we have. So this diagram shows how to contrast between database and file systems. So if we have a database system, one database consists of all the data for employees, customers, sales, inventory, and accounts. So we store the data, this data using a DBMS. And then all the end users should be able to access the data through DBMS. So this is what we refer to a database system. Meanwhile, a file-based system, it is when all the data is kept within their own departments. Let's say for personal departments, for HR, they only have their own data. For sales departments, they have the customers, sales and inventory data. And then for accounting departments, they only have account database. So this is the weaknesses of a file-based system, where the data where that database cannot be shared among their staff. Let's say this personal departments, let's say the sales department, they want to know the current account details for the company itself, but they cannot access to that database because it is a file-based system. So the system on the database can only be accessed by that particular users. So these are the weaknesses of file-based systems. So these are the database system environments. So we have end users. End users use an application programs to access a data that we have developed using the DBMS. Let's say I'm using the scenarios of you as a student. Let's say the end user is a student. You use the program. You want to access your data using what? Maya. You access. You use application programs such as Maya. To access the data that we have. That we have in a database. You send your request through in order to access the data. What kind of data? So it is depends on what kind of purposes. Let's say you want to access the data for you want to view all the courses they offered for this semesters. Then you want to register. So you log in to your Maya. And then you view for all the courses and then you register. So this is how the end users interacting with data. Then that application program, it is developed by programmers. So this part, it is more involved with system analyst. And then for database itself, it is involved database designer. database admin. Okay, database admin is required to manage the database. Okay, database designer, it is important, okay, to design a database. Okay, and then for system admin, it is basically a person who in charge the procedures and standards for that application programs. Okay, so but however, it will communicate directly with database designer and database administrators. Okay, so this is how the database system environment looks like. Okay, so database functions. What is the functions of data DBMS? Okay, the first one is data dictionary management. Okay, data dictionary, it is to store definitions of the data elements and their relationships. Okay, data storage management. Okay, performing tunings. Okay, to ensure efficient performance of the database in terms of storage and access speeds. Okay, data transformations and presentations. Okay, to transform entered data to conform the required data structures, and also to enforce the securities in terms for their database security management. So these are the ability of DBMS functions. Okay, basically the main part that we have, it is for data storage. Okay, we usually use a database in order to store the data. Okay. Okay, then the other functions are, okay, multi-user access control. Okay, so most of the DBMS, they provide the multi-users access controls. Okay, it is a sophisticated algorithms to ensure that multiple users can access the database concurrently without compromising its integrity. So meaning that okay, let's say for example, when you want to register for a course, okay, you can access, okay, multiple users can access the same course, okay, but we block the number of users for that class during the registration, so that it is required in order to compromise the integrity rules. Okay, backup and recovery management. Of course, we need to do a backup. Okay, enable recovery of the database after a failure in terms of natural disaster, or it is comes by human error. Okay, it is depends. Okay, but it should be provide a backup and recovery management. Okay. Okay, then data integrity management. Okay, to minimize redundancy and maximize consistency. Okay, so this is as we go through just now, we have to reduce the data redundancy. Okay. Okay, database access languages and application programming interfaces. Okay, query language, we let the users to specify what must be done without having to specify how. Okay, usually we have a SQL. Okay, it is a structured query language. Okay, where this is a standard, okay, a standard language that we use to submit a query. Okay, and then the system, the database will process the query, and we will provide a result from the query. Okay, so by using the query, we can specify what we want. Okay, let's say we want to know, okay, we want to know how numbers of students who registered for database class. So we send the query by using SQL. Okay, and then database communications interfaces. Okay, it is required, okay, to accept end user requests via multiple different network environments. So we still need an interfaces, so that users can submit a query. Okay, users can submit this kind of request. Okay, so this is a database that we want to access the data. Okay, this is an application program. Okay, so at this level, we still need an interface so that we can access the data. Okay, so we need an interface. Okay, so database communications interfaces so that users can submit a request. Okay, so disadvantages of database systems. Okay, of course, compared to file-based systems, okay, we need more cost if we want to develop a database. Okay, more cost in terms of storage, in terms of the complexities of the DBMS. So we need the costs are increased. Okay, and then management complexity. Okay, we have to manage a huge number of data that we have. Okay, maintaining currency. Okay, vendor dependence. Okay, it is for DBMS. Okay, we have to follow the vendors specifications. Okay, what they have defined for that specific database. Okay, then frequent upgrade or replacement cycle. So basically they have different versions. Okay, let's say for now, let's say for Oracle, we have previously we have from 4G and then 8G, 11G and so on. So now we are moving to 18G, 18. Okay, so we have to upgrade. Okay, we also need to upgrade. Okay, so that's for disadvantages of DBMS database systems. Okay, so these are some career opportunities if you want to know further related to database. Okay, you can be database developer, okay, database designer, database administrator, analyst, architect, consultant, security officers, and now since we are moving to cloud computing, so there is a new jobs, okay, which is cloud computing architecture. So these are the possible career related to database. Okay. Okay, so that's all. So these are the end of the slides. Okay. Basically, this is the first slide to introduce you what is database. Okay, what is data, what is database, and what is DBMS. So by now you should know the differences between data, okay, database and DBMS. Okay, data is something that we want to keep in a database. Okay, and then we need a DBMS to develop a database. It is a place when we keep a data. Okay. Okay, any questions? We still have lots of time. Hello class, do you have any questions?
No, madam.
Dr. Jihan?
No, doctor.
Dr. Jihan?
Yes.
Dr. Jihan? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, yes.
Okay. Hello class. Sorry ya, saya tak apa sihat. Jadi Dr. Jihan very kindly take over the class. So I went through the grouping that you all did semasa Dr. Jihan goes through the lecture, and I'm not happy with your grouping because you punya grouping contoh for example, you have 4 Malays and then you ask for 1 Chinese male or something like that. Or you have 4 Chinese and you ask for 1 other Malay girl. Of course, it's very difficult for that person to work, kan? So please have a more balance. Maybe 3 and 2, not 4 and 1. I mean, so how you want to attract people to come to your group? This person may feel like macam not comfortable. So I want you to redo your grouping, okay? Because the purpose of the grouping is for you to work together and work together as a group with different races, with different gender. Yeah, so saya tak nak tengok. We don't want to see 4 plus 1. We want to see a balance. All right, please redo your group. Please take that seriously. All right, so please go back to the grouping punya Google form and then redo your group. We'll be checking. We will not accept your group as is. Okay, kita akan check. And then
Yes,
once kita kata approve,
yes.
hmm.
Otherwise, we will do the grouping for you.
Ya, on my part macam tu, itu je lah Dr. Chan. And then about the tutorial, we will double check because it was there, but then suddenly like it's not there anymore. So we will have to see, and then I will put on my section dekat Spectrum. I will put the new link for the tutorial, and then whatever information I will put. If you are in my group, then just double check my section maybe later today. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Jihan.
Okay, Dr. Khalid, are you in? If you have anything to inform to your students.
There's a question about best database book, Dr. Jihan. Somebody asked what is the best textbooks to use.
Okay,
what is do you can you go through what is the one that is on our proforma?
This is the one that we have in the proforma.
Apa ni, maklumat semasa?
Maklumat semasa.
So actually from my experience, any textbooks is okay because they basically talk about the same thing. So you can also to see tengok the lecture punya the lecture punya slides tu. Usually ada the name of the ni kan, ada the name of the
there you go. References that we have. Basically the content is, we can say that this is same, but maybe they enhance a few parts because for database the content is it is the same things. Okay, the concept is same.
Okay, ada another question. Nakiuddin asks, is the cost sufficient enough for you to get all the skills to apply all the database career opportunities? Of course not. We give you basic knowledge, and then it's up to you to continue learning. And especially when you talk about database, if you want to work with Oracle, you kena belajar database administration, which we don't cover in this course. Dulu we have database administration class for IS. Dr. Jihan, do we still have that?
We have database advanced. Okay, but it's mainly for IS students.
Dr. Jihan, that's all from me. Thank you.
Any more questions that you have from all the students? Okay, Umar, have you registered for this class? Okay, if you have registered, okay, because I have copied all the names from the Spectrum, so maybe there is something wrong with your I'm not sure what is the problems with you, but because if we look at your questions here is okay, you cannot register through Maya, right? But if you have this access, meaning that you have this course in your Spectrum. So maybe you need to double check and confirm your registration for database. Okay, for summative assessment, okay, basically the summative assessment is it is your final exam. But now since we have to conduct all the classes online, and then same goes for your final exam, so there is no more face-to-face exam. So we need to change your final exam to make it as a summative assessment. Okay, for this summative assessment, it will consist of all. It is based on the one that we put in the MSK course information. Okay, any more questions? If no, okay, shall we end the meeting now? Okay, thank you, class. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doctor.
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 Thank you, Doctor. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Doctor.